Hi guys, this is Issues with Toddy One Skip, and I am Toddy One Skip. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for letting me be part of your day. Happy holidays. They're just a few days away now. Guys, I really appreciate you letting me in and spending some of your time with me. It means a great deal. If you like my videos, please subscribe and share them. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to go forward with this channel or not. So also communicate in the chat, because that helps me know where you guys are at and where I'm at. So this video I think is really important. It's about Ruby Franke, who was a woman that started a YouTube channel in around 2015. She ran it for about 5 years or so. 2020. She had over 2.2 million subscribers. Her and her husband has 6 children, and people watch their channels. I guess they watch their YouTube channel for entertainment, but that entertainment sometimes was at the price of a weird disciplinarian, authoritarian, controlling type weird and bad way of rearing your children. And you know, I talk so much about just people behind the cameras, you know, the people that were watching me too on YouTube. You know, sometimes the people that I watch, they mispronounce names, they get dates wrong, and I think, oh, they should know this. And then I say to myself, but it's just a person behind there. It's just, most of the time, an amateur behind the camera. And I can get information from them, and I can enjoy their content, but still, they're just a person. I don't understand why so many people thought this woman, Ruby Franke, had some sort of great advice in raising her children. What made people think that the way she raised her children was correct? Why would somebody give somebody so much just because they have a YouTube channel? And look at what happened. So December 18th, Ruby Franke pled guilty to 4 secondary counts of secondary felonies that had to do with child abuse for her own children. Horrible, torturous crimes. And people went to her for advice. They looked at her for advice. They did things with their own children following the rules of this woman. You have to check out who people are. And when something doesn't feel right, you have to raise a red flag and say, you know, they might be wrong. Because all they have, I'm sitting in front of an iPhone 13, guys, and a Shure mic. That's what I'm sitting in front of at my job. I know information that I've looked up. I have opinions, but so do you. And our opinions can be wrong. My opinion might not be right for you. It does, just because I'm saying it and you're watching it behind a screen doesn't make it right. Please understand that. In the meantime, this woman that people watched, and she made millions of dollars, and she was torturing her children. Some of the things that she was accused of and that she admitted to. So it's not even just accused. I mean, she admitted to this. She admitted to holding her children's heads underwater and covering their noses and mouth. Why would you do that? Kicking her child when she was wearing boots. Making her child, an 11-year-old boy, carry heavy boxes of books, filled books, heavy, up and down stairs. Making him run outside in the heat without any sunscreen so that he had blisters refusing him water. And when she caught him getting water for himself, sneaking it, he got in trouble for that. She made her daughter, her youngest child, run barefoot over rocks. And people liked the way she appeared to parent. And there were red flags. I mean, I saw the videos where there were red flags. She took kids' beds away, made them sleep in a bathroom, threatened to cut off a doll's head. But just very dramatic stuff. Right? And we only know about this. This only came to light because when was it? In August? That her son escaped a place where he was held, duct tape, tied to the ground, and ran to the neighbor's house. But his mom knew where he was. His mom knew the situation he was in. He was at Jodi Hildebrandt's house. There you go, Jodi. Jodi, who was recommended by the Mormon Church. She had her own Facebook, her own YouTube channel. And she was given all of these clients by the Mormon Church. And she messed up so many of these relationships. Because when you're given advice by the Mormon Church, from the Mormon Church, to the Mormon Church, and the people that follow the Mormon Church, you don't have to ask any questions. But you do. You do. Because people make mistakes. People's motivations aren't always correct. They're not always from the heart. Sometimes it's about greed. Why did people keep giving Jodi Hildebrandt clients when there were so many red flags where she lost her license, where she was separating families, and she lost her license for violating HIPAA laws, telling people about her client's personal shit. And then she gets her license back. So you know what? They got to own some of that, a lot of it. And then she hooks up with this woman who's doing 8 passengers. And you start hearing about how one of her kids is going to a wilderness camp because that's what the therapist said. The therapist was Hildebrandt. Somehow she talks Franke, according to Franke, into joining forces. You got this whole parenting thing wrong. Hildebrandt says, this is what you got to do. They join Moms of Truth, talk about distortion and truth, words that they find definitions for, not the definitions that are in the dictionary, but that they find definitions for. That's very cultish, as we know. Jodi Hildebrandt, she has no attachment to her family. Her children wanted nothing to do with her and have wanted nothing to do with her. Horrible divorce from her ex-husband, but she's going to give advice. No relationship with her children because she was horrible. Her niece spoke out. Her niece was tied to the ground, left outside in the cold. That woman is evil. And now Ruby Franke, who is evil too, has decided it's all Jodi Hildebrandt's fault. So she's blamed everything on Jodi Hildebrandt, saying that she was under the control of Jodi Hildebrandt. And that's why she behaved the way she did, but she's going to be accountable for the 4 of the 6 counts that they tried to press upon her. So, let's just say she admits that she tortured her children from May 22nd to August 30th. I wonder how proud she is of that. So Jodi Hildebrandt started a group called Connections, and she got Ruby Franke into that group and made Ruby Franke a mental fitness trainer. What is that? What is that? And yet, you know, people followed her. Why? She didn't have any experience. She was torturing children behind the backs of her followers. So, but she apologized for something. So I want to get that. I want to tell you what she said. So she called when she was called on what these acts were that she thought she was doing to her children. She called them acts of love and was under the influence of Jodi Hildebrandt. And she stands up and she accepts that she's guilty of 3 of the charges right away. And on the 4th and final charge, she says, with my deepest regret and sorrow for my family and my children, guilty. So she's going to do time. She's going to do, each count carries 15 years. And now I think February 20th, she's going to go to court. Jodi Hildebrandt should be in court, I think December 27th, I want to say. So it'll be interesting to hear what she's going to be going through. But, you know, that I thought that we saw that coming, that they were going to turn against each other. And it would only make sense that Ruby would turn against Jodi because those are her kids. And, you know, it just makes sense. The kids were at Jodi's house. And it's just the way that woman strikes me. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when that comes out. But on February 20th, she's going to be sentenced. And each of the crimes can hold up to 15 years. Which she's going to do consecutively. So let's say she gets 7 years for each crime. So that's 7, 28 years. Because they would do 7 and then 7, 7, and 7. So consecutively means one after another. Okay? So I'm hoping that she does 60 years. Right? Because I don't think that you take pity on a person that does that. Because it's in my opinion that the next step, like, I think that it wouldn't be enough. Like, maybe she kicked her kid and then she was like, that kind of felt good. Let me just take his breath away. I'll stick his head underwater. That felt good. Okay, well, let's leave the water out of it and let me just smother the kid and see how that feels. I think that there would be progression. We know that there are mothers that kill their children. I can leave this right there. What do you think she deserves? What do you think? And do you really think that you could blame it all on the other person? Oh, and by the way, something that keeps coming up in this weird portion of the Mormon church is that children are turned into zombies. So there's some sort of book out there that Chad Daybell was totally into that has to do with, I guess it's prepping for the end of the world and what happens. I forgot the name of that book, but it seems like that book has a lot of influence. But 1 million people could read that book. And maybe 100,000 can get the wrong idea from it. What is in their head that makes them go in that direction? I don't know. Guys, this is Issues with Toddy One Skip. I am Toddy One Skip. If you see something, say something. People shouldn't have to suffer because other people don't speak up. And the truth of the matter is, there was a few people that spoke up for these children, and those pleas went unanswered. I don't know if it's because they were Mormon and they're in Utah. I don't know. But we gotta, when we see something, we gotta say something, especially when there's kids involved. And remember, we're all just people behind these cameras, and we make mistakes, and we're flawed. Don't put anybody on a pedestal. Use your common sense. Alright? Okay, guys, this is Issues with Toddy One Skip. I am Toddy One Skip. Don't forget, be better today than you were yesterday, but not half as good as you're going to be tomorrow. Thanks, guys.